back, we're going to have Mr. Mal Adams on the phone from Japan, and we will be talking about the tsunami for a period of time before we go back to our local discussions. Thank you for listening. We'll be right back.
Yes, sir. Okay. Yes, sir. Okay. Yes. I'm monitoring you now. You just had the senator. Okay, listen, just give me some background. WSTX is situated where? St. Croix. Okay. And the senator's last name is what? Senator Richards. Okay. I'm standing by, man. Okay, and I'll turn my volume down here so we don't get cross feed. All right, my brother. I'm standing by. Hello, Gustav, my friend. It's been a long time. How are you? Well, thank you very much. It is great to hear your voice, and greetings to the senator there. I was listening in earlier before your call. And yes, sir. And Gus, may I call you Gus? That's what we know you as. Okay, my brother. It's been a long time. But let me just bring you up to date. The reason I am in good health and out of harm's way is because I'm situated some 400 kilometers away from ground zero. If you look at the map of Japan, I'm almost in the center of the main island of Honshu in Shizuoka Prefecture in the town of Japan goes diagonally from northeast to southwest, so I'm, yes, southwest of Tokyo, almost directly between Osaka and Tokyo, about the same distance by car. And as such, we are not in harm's way of any potential nuclear fallout as a result of the disaster at Fukushima with the power plants there, huh? That's right. That's right. And we're separated by a couple of mountain ranges. So from that standpoint, we are out of harm's way. However, 3 hours ago, actually 4 hours ago initially, and then again an hour after, from this particular point in time, we did suffer 2 medium level earthquakes. The island has been shaking ever since the 11th of March to some degree or another. And as you know, you remember Japan, I'm in the Tokai region, which is noted to be the worst fault zone in Japan, but we've had no real earthquake activity, seismic activity for some years. And historically, it's been about 50 or 60 years, but everything around us has shaken. Kobe some years ago, and then in the Tohoko region now. So 3 or 4 days after the earthquake, we experienced a 6.0 shaker out here, and that caused us some concern, but there was really we're on a separate plate, so it was thought to have been an earthquake, but there must be some relativity there. I would imagine. I'm not a geologist, but and subsequent to this, an adjacent plate was also shaking down in Gifu. You remember that's further west of me. So when we experienced that, we realized that the potential of some future activity is always here. That caused no damage, nor did it cause any injury. So we remain watchful and cautiously optimistic about being safe where I live, but we're more concerned about the people at ground zero who are suffering potential radiation right now. We're talking At the moment, Gus, here's the latest statistics as we know it. 9,199 people confirmed dead on the March 11th disaster, and nearly 14,000 people are missing after the earthquake and tsunami. More statistics, 5,600 of the victims died in Miyagi Prefecture alone, and more than 4,200 people are unaccounted for in that particular region, which is the hardest hit. You remember the town of Sendai. Sendai was a great town, a great fan of Western jazz music. They had concerts there every year, and we used to see many of the brothers coming over for that particular event. No, they came and toured the country, but Sendai was particularly a favorite of many of our jazz friends, you remember back in the day, who used to come over. In fact, I recall, yes, they would come to Tokyo and then they'd go up north to Sendai, where they knew they were going to get an incredible welcome that was unique among all stops that they would make. I recall this very vividly 25 years ago. One of our favorite artists here composed a song called Sendai Send-Off, which was reflective of the welcome and the greeting and the sayonara departure that they received at the train station when they left the town after a 2-day performance. And that became a record in the United States, and that sticks in my mind when I think of Sendai. We need to research that. I bet it's on Google, and I can't think of the artist's name, but he was a good friend of ours. I'm sure you may have met him. You know, we used to go to the Mount Fuji Jazz Festival a lot and hear that great music, yes. So, in Fukushima Prefecture, absolutely. Okay, we have 120,000 people in the city of Kakegawa, where I have been for 20 years. I left Tokyo some 20 years ago. My wife, who is Japanese, we met and married in Tokyo, and we decided to raise our children in her hometown, which is further afield, out here in the tea country. We're the green tea capital of Japan. And so, if you're that's right, Kakegawa, K-A-K-E-G-A-W-A, Kakegawa, and it is in Shizuoka Prefecture. Now, Shizuoka Prefecture is rather agrarian. Yeah, you know, it's like New York, New York. The capital of the prefecture is Shizuoka City, but we're in the prefecture, which extends east to west, broader than most other prefectures in Japan. So if you're passing through this prefecture by car on the national route from Tokyo to Nagasaki, it's going to take you a few hours to transfer this prefecture, because it's broad east to west, and I'm in the western section of that prefecture. It borders the Kanto region. You know, Tokyo is a huge megalopolis, you know, but Tokyo City proper is then juxtaposed to Kawasaki City to the west, and then you travel a little bit, you're approaching Mount Fuji from the east, and now you're starting to get into Kanagawa Prefecture, which houses Yokohama and Kawasaki and Odawara. But if you're taking the train ride, the bullet train ride from Tokyo heading west, you're going to hit Tokyo, you're going to hit Shinagawa, which still is in Tokyo. Then the next stop is going to be Odawara, and you've gotten out of the Kanto region, which houses Tokyo, and you're starting to get into Kanagawa. Then you're in Shizuoka. So we're about 3 states away. They're about the 3rd state. No, by bullet train it's about 7 stops from Tokyo, so we're a 2-hour ride on the bullet train to describe it. Yeah, just about a 2-hour ride. That's right. So we're in a good area. We're safe, and we're really out of. Well, it's a 7-hour drive. We're talking a 7-hour drive. Exactly. The terrain is in our favor, because any winds would have to surpass a couple of mountain ranges, And then, you know, by car, we're looking at a 7-hour drive, estimated 7-hour drive to get to that area. Maybe, yes, give or take. Yeah, I've been on the metric system for some time. I can't even tell you. Yes, okay, very good. So there it is. That puts it in perspective. By bullet train, I would say maybe 3 hours because there's a bullet train going up that. In fact, it's going to be reinstated in next month. Of course, the tsunami devastation just. No, not in that area because the tsunami. If you've seen the images, nothing's moving there. Yes. Well, listen, it gives one pause first and foremost to consider that I'm so close to incident. You should use the word catastrophe of biblical proportions to give your viewer, your listeners, a better idea. I mean, you can see the images, but there are so many emotions. There's so many impressions. Number one, you feel pain for the victims, you know, in a country that I've come to love because it's been my home for 34 years, going on 35 years. And so, of course, and having been here all this time and never seen any catastrophe of this degree is shocking. And it's hard to get your head around the statistics. Listen, we thrive and have survived many, many earthquakes of a smaller degree. So even to this point, an earthquake doesn't bother us. The 6.0 that hit my particular region, of course, compounded by the immediate environment and the conditions of this Fukushima disaster. When we got an earthquake, I got the family out of my compound here and into the streets. That was just a knee-jerk reaction, and we packed a car with survival goods, realizing that we may too be in harm's way, potential. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now I'm going to tell you, I've been broadcasting live on my Japan Journal broadcast, which your listeners can hear on Ustream, which is it's really a great service. It's unlike YouTube. These are live streaming broadcasts. So I have subscribed and I've got. Yes, Ustream, either small letters or capital U and then STREAM, like YouTube, but instead Ustream, all one word, and Ustream.tv, small letters. So www.ustream.tv will get you to the main site, and then I would ask that they keyword search Japan Journal, and you'll come to my site. At some point during that process, you may be required to sign up, which takes less than 60 seconds to put a name and an email so that you know, you'd be registered. But that may not be the case. Any people who are unsigned may be able to monitor the live report. So for the last 12 days, what has it been? Since the 11th? It's just you asked me how it affected my life. Fortunately, I conduct training of Japanese teachers to train students English in the public schools, just as a part of my consulting business. Your listeners might be interested to know that I came here with CBS News 30 years ago as the Tokyo correspondent. That's right. I came here initially to serve as the Tokyo correspondent for CBS, and then Ted Turner personally recruited me away to start CNN in Japan for him some 28 years ago. And I left CBS after 2 years to start the Tokyo Bureau of CNN. At that time we had a show called This Week in Japan. Well, in that same spirit, since leaving CNN 5 years after, I've been operating in my own enterprise called Town Communications Company Limited, which is an umbrella for several other international cross-cultural communication entities, including video. We have a record label, we have a restaurant and a bar for hospitality services for foreigners and Japanese who are interested in international cultural exchange. So a lot of activities are done under that, but it's all based on cross-cultural communication services. As with CNN, I cover the nation from Kagoshima all the way to Sapporo on a weekly basis, putting out a 30-minute weekly show. I said all that to say that I have continued doing that independently, and as a result of this tragedy, I've been going live night and day on the Ustream broadcast. And also, when I am resting and we're not here, we leave the machine on and the broadcast up, and it will stream the NHK World News Service in English so that you can get up-to-the-date details. Okay. I'm standing by. All right, thank you.
The music that you hear, we have to take a break right now, but if you can stay on the line, I would like to have you come back on for a few more minutes. I'm standing by. Okay, very good. This is WSTX AM 970. You're listening to Searching for Solutions. We're now going to take a short break for commercial messages. We'll be right back.
Rib-End pork chops, value pack $1.98 a pound. Kraft barbecue sauce, assorted flavors, 18-ounce bottle, $1.88. French bread, 99 cents alone. Elephant beer, $27.95 a case. Great specials every day, every department. Plaza Extra, Tutu Park Center.
Yes, thank you very much. Good to be back online with you. As I was explaining, giving some historical background about my career here in Japan and as a broadcaster. I have been broadcasting news from Japan around the world for the better part of 30 years. But at this particular time, this is the biggest story that I've ever covered. It's the biggest tragedy that I've ever been close to. I've never done war coverage, but I can imagine that this would be comparable to doing some war coverage if you look at the devastation and the impact of Mother Nature had on this nation. And yet, having said so, Gus, you remember when you were here, we lived through many earthquakes in Tokyo. Okay. That's right, Jishin, that's right. That's right, in the Japanese language, yeah, the different degrees of we do too, we call them earthquakes, and in broadcasting and journalism you use the word tremor or aftershock or what have you. But I'm telling you, this was a convulsion. This was an incredible force of nature, my brother, and it was and remains devastating. You look at the damage and you can only imagine that it's going to take years to not only clean it up and discover missing people under the rubble here. Yeah, absolutely, and the debris. So it is a tragedy of historical proportions. As a matter of fact, this is the worst natural disaster in Japan since the 1923 Great Kanto earthquake that claimed more than 100,000 lives. So, you know, the toll is still being counted here. You can't imagine. I mean, you can't help but think that when you look at this destruction. Oh, no question about it. You know, to the best degree possible, they measured the force of this quake at a 9.0 and as high as 9.1, I've heard, but that pretty much takes it off the scale, so it could have exceeded that. We don't know, and that'll all come out as their geological survey is trying to get a fix on exactly how big of a disaster this is. Now, having said that, 2 points I want to make to complete this answer. How it has affected me as a professional broadcaster and a journalist in the course of my coverage and my analysis of this thing, because I'm an expert, let's face it, I understand the culture, I speak the language fluently, and I know and love these people. In fact, I have relatives, as my children are international, from products of international marriage. They speak both languages.